Welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. This is a show where my guests and I explore and expand on all things mindset, leadership, and communication. On the show, I interview inspiring leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all walks of life, where they share their stories, experiences, and lessons. This is a podcast for you if you're looking to learn, grow, and accelerate your life, career, and who you are. Hey there, everybody. You are listening to the Limitless Leaders Podcast today. I hope everyone's doing well out there. We're almost or just past the first half of the year. And I'm coming across a lot of clients that are feeling misaligned, overwhelmed, experiencing burnout, and it is a thing. We've got 1 in 5 in Australia alone diagnosed with a mental health illness. So today I am super excited for our guest, Dr. Siew Fang Law. Welcome.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. I've really been looking forward to chatting to you about all your work you do and your amazing new book, which we'll go into.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really happy with this.
Oh, it's a gorgeous book, and we'll go into it, but it's just so practical, and I'm all about practical tools that are easy to implement, and I think the book does that. So a bit of background on Dr. Siew Fang Law. She's an educator, mediator, and leadership coach with expertise in social and applied psychology, peace psychology, conflict resolution, DEI, community development, and root cause therapy. She has over 20 years of leadership experience in higher education, non-for-profits, and international development fields. Amazing. These include board roles in a university and a non-profit organisation. One of the things that she has built is the Bento box of care tools. I just love that, which give you models, frameworks, and methods. And these have been drawn from her inspiration from her social and applied psychology training and research, her senior leadership experiences, and this one for me is very important, her lived experiences as a woman of colour working in different sectors. Her leadership coaching framework integrates intersectionally, interculturally, it's cross-sectoral and intergenerational perspectives. So excited to have you here today. And I want to first of all congratulate you on your book.
Thank you.
Which we'll talk about a little bit later where people can find that book. But I guess I'd love to kick off with a little bit about you. It's a big question, but how have you become you?
That's a very big question. When I was hearing, when you were introducing me, it is all the titles and life experience, but how is that me become me? That was a long journey back to Malaysia. I was born and grew up in Malaysia and then left the country when I was 15.
Wow.
And I went to Canada and it was so cold. And I learned all my, including language, life skills, and how to manage money, suddenly from totally protected and taken good care of to very independent lives suddenly. And those experience really challenged me that I really wanted to explore anything that outside my comfort zone and push myself to experience something different to really get to know the world. And then it's actually gave me the appetite and very challenging. I nearly died during that time.
I can imagine.
And then I come back to, being academic and then doing a lot of teaching from, to say a lot of other life experience of idealizing the world, being I'm quite idealistic that I wanted to work with the United Nations to build peace. And then it's just thinking that there was so much I need to do in this world, and maybe being an educator, so I can share some of these visions of peace around through the courses that I design, build, and share. And I think the idealism sometimes hit with realism, where the reality is very complex and messy, and that lead
Work
to
for it. Yeah.
absolutely. And so even being academic and doing many years of research in peace psychology, and realize that I lose the connection with the real world. How do we translate? How do I translate the theory into something that people can digest and apply as tools? Oh
Mm,
yeah, that's me. I'm still the same me, that
yeah.
I really keen to do something positive to build peace in the world. Yeah, lead to the book that we are going to talk about. That's a Bento box of care tool.
Yeah, I love that. And I'd love to, probably for those watching or listening, can you tell us a little bit about what peace psychology is, what it entails?
Thank you. Peace psychology is such a rare field of psychology. There's only few psychologists around the world focusing on research and teaching that promoting peace in the world. So peace is actually often been misunderstood. That is an
Yeah.
abstract concept. That is a utopia.
Mm.
Um, but it's actually correct. When you study and understanding it, it is so much effort need to put in and understand what's entailed to allow people to collaborate, to work together, to cooperate, to achieve the shared goal. But in humans, in our society, people tend to compete and fight,
Oh,
and then often power dynamic play out, and I experience all dimensions of unpeacefulness, starting from within, and then linked to relationship, and then linked to organized context like workplace and in the communities and institution. And then you can expand it to global countries and, global context. So
yeah.
peace psychology really studies what are the elements and qualities in the person, in groups, that we can actually achieve a more harmonious, cooperative, collaborative space.
I love that. And peace is not a word you hear a lot.
No.
And just talking to you already, you embody peace. You've got
Oh,
a
thank you,
very
Renee.
calm demeanor, like and it is important. We've got AI, we've got
Mm,
technology, we've got hybrid work here to stay. There's so much noise, there's the economy, all the stuff going on in the US. And I think peace is something and a great word, like a great mindset and a great energy to bring back in. What would be a tip that you've got around peace, creating peace for yourself in and out of work, right?
Interestingly, through the work that we do in the Power of Care book, we talk about the importance of starting from having awareness and consciousness about
Yeah.
how we experience our emotion. So starting from having awareness and consciousness of our emotions and how our body feel, we actually started to be able to work with our experience, including our mindset of
Mm.
the world. So really starting from ourselves to start with, and then we're more able to recognize what is going on in our relationship, and then in the workplace and in the environment that we live in. Um, yeah, so to me, I think that peace start from ourselves, start from
Yeah,
within.
we it does, and when we talk about leadership and limitless leaders that learn, relearn, and
Mm,
evolve, everyone's a leader. So I
absolutely.
say you're a leader of self, you're a leader of your own life. Maybe you're a leader of other people, but you're also a leader of decisions and influence. And I think starting within, there's a lot of attention out at the
Mm,
moment. I'm seeing with a lot of clients, not enough of this
mm,
inward. Um, on that,
mm,
what does leadership mean to you?
Thank you, Renee. Again, I totally resonate and align with what you just described. Everyone is a leader.
Yeah.
We actually do not really need a title and to define ourselves as leaders. if we see that everyone is leaders, including a child, young person,
Yeah,
and grandmother, at home environment, and we actually can lead by beautifully influencing the people around us for positive growth
yeah,
and change. I think that in that way, leading ourselves and the others to be better version of ourselves and togetherness, it's a leaders.
yeah, that's right. I love that. I absolutely love it. And I think leadership's, I think's become a bit of a buzzword.
Mm,
People go, oh, do you just do leadership? And I'm like, the byproduct of what we do is leadership. We give you the
mm,
tools and the frameworks,
beautiful.
communication mindset that will get
Absolutely.
you on the journey to lead and be a leader that's living their legacy. Not
Mm,
waiting till you go. Live your legacy
mm.
now.
Every day.
Oh, every day, every day. With any business or life, any
Absolutely.
life, which we all have, which I'm grateful for,
Mm,
we face challenges. I call these gifts, and some of them we
mm.
sweep under the rug. Some of them we sort of analyze and go, what have I learnt? What's been, and you've had an amazing life and you've got an amazing backstory. What's been probably the biggest challenge or gift that you've received in your lifetime so fast? So far, I mean. Yeah.
I love how you frame challenge as gift.
Mm,
And it is so important. To me, I think that whenever people feel that, including myself, or a journey, whenever we feel that the life is so hard, and then the things that throwing at us is
yeah.
massive, it crushes, and we often see darkness, and then we could not climb up, and then we started to see negativity in
And you attract
everyone
it
and
too.
everything. So then we attract them, and then the energy just
Yeah.
pull the energy down together. So to me, the challenge as gift is such a beautiful way of reframing. I
Mm,
actually really wanted to pick this one as one of the challenges I had, was this experience of compassion fatigue
yeah.
and burnout from work quite many years ago. I often feel really upset with, to me, I treated at that time
Yeah.
was the workload, was the work pressure.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There was a lot of workload and work pressure and restructures. And then I feel I have to challenge the decisions that made by my higher level, that I really need to really engage at a higher level to really
You
get
were
them to
leading a
fully
team.
understand
You were
what's
leading
going
a
on
team.
at the front line. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was almost 5 years ago. And I feel like I was protecting my students. I was looking after the program that I was leading. And
Mm,
then because of restructuring, we feel threatened. But over the years of recovering and healing and truly understand myself, I think that was the gift that coming in, that challenge that really threw me up to really learn what is the root cause of the
yeah.
experience, and to really go back down to understanding what are some of the underlying beliefs,
Mm,
social conditioning of being successful,
yeah.
and what are some of the unresolved conflict and trauma in the past
Yeah.
that may have shaped the interpretations of the experience that I may have. And as much as I believe in peace, and then I was actually also need to really work on some of the unsettling
Mm,
and unprocessed emotion deep down.
yeah.
And after I regained it, that become the gift that I have.
Yeah.
Now I started to realize the power of really fully understand some of the deeply suppressed underlying
Mm,
emotions and belief system, and that can really change how we see ourselves and the others and things that throwing our way on
yeah.
a daily basis. It's really make a big difference.
It does. And thanks for sharing that. I sort of think even on the road to success, there's obstacles. So there's gifts in challenging situations and people, and gifts also in negative,
Mm.
the other side. Even people, I always talk about, we call them Kris Kringles. So you ask for perfume and you get socks. That difficult person. Like I had one really terrible manager at one point, but he was the biggest gift because I
Mm.
was in that mindset of wanting to be a leader. So I said to myself, I'm just going to do the opposite of what he does. And I even started studying coaching to deal with him, and I stayed another 6 years at the company. But if I hadn't had that experience, I may not be doing what is my heart purpose now. So,
That's an amazing story.
yeah, if anyone's listening out there and you're going through a tough time personally or professionally, might take a while to see what the gift is, but it's come to you to learn from it. And if you don't, it'll keep coming to you. And
Absolutely. Until you learn.
until you learn, and I say it's a wound, it won't become a
Mm.
scar until
Mm.
you've learnt the lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. Can I ask you, you know, was there a time that you or your team failed at something?
And how do I respond to that?
Yeah, yeah.
I have to say that absolutely. Again, that come back to the question that we asked about the challenges and gift. I often will feel that when we fail at something at
Mm,
that time, we were so blindsided that there was other factors, the external factor that result to our challenge and failure, kind
yeah,
of blaming the others. And then again, the gift is that started to really sort of shifted to really fully understand what is that challenge is teaching us.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
rather than seeing that, okay, for a long time, I think I go back to that experience in a university where I felt that, oh, there must be the restructuring and blame this restructure. But restructure happened because they deal with change externally,
yeah.
and then funding cut, and then all the different international
Mm,
policies have changed to international students' arrival. And
yeah,
then to me, I think, how do we respond to change? At that time, I thought that I was very flexible, and
yeah,
then I was actually agile. And then now looking back, that the challenges and then that I had at that time, I did not realize that I have other options, and then I only
yeah.
saw the options later.
Later.
Hmm.
That's very common, isn't it? And it's why I think companies, and this is a nice segue into your amazing book, The Power of Self-Care. It's what companies can, and I'm not saying all, but there's companies that say, Renee, reflection and journaling and self-care, it's indulgent. To me, and you had a quote that you sent me that I've used for years: give the world the best of you, not what's left of you. As soon as I read that, I went, oh, I
Oh.
resonate. But you know, self-care is so important. And I think what might be really valuable is to share before we go into the book, what is your definition of self-care? Because I think people confuse it with self-growth, not you, but
Hmm.
others.
Hmm. Interestingly, I think self-care often being misunderstood as being selfish
Yeah.
and being self-centered. And then especially me growing up as an Asian, that as collective society, you often put others first. You
Mm,
don't put yourself first. Like my surname is in the last in the West, but in that's a very different way of looking at relationship and self. So self-care is often been is unheard of in the way that we grow up, especially from Asian society. And it is I have to unlearn to relearn the importance of self-care. So in writing that book, it is definitely is a definition that it is not selfish, it's
good.
not a luxury. It is fundamental to almost learning to love yourself because you are precious in the way of there's only one you in this world. And then if people not getting connected with you and not able to get the full experience of yourself because you're actually not been kind to yourself, and it's just like objects on the furnitures on the others, you look after everything else, but
Yeah.
and then you yourself is actually the most precious one to look after. So
Yeah.
to me, I think self-care is fundamental. We often forgot uh, of how important it is to look after ourselves.
It is important, and I'm being really upfront. I'm not the best person at it. I think I was born with a closure addiction. Like I love to get things done since I was a little girl. Been tested for ADHD, even through my cancer journey. I was told I'd be in bed for 6 weeks, had no time off. And I really, it's something I've had to learn sort of the hard
Mm.
way. Do you think, there's a
Mm.
lot of reasons people don't do self-care. Do you think, and I'm just asking you this because
Mm.
I've come across it a bit the last few weeks, do you think some people that don't do self-care have low self-worth?
No, not necessarily. I think that there are multiple reasons, not necessarily this
Yeah.
lack of
Yeah.
self-worth. One is that again, underlying beliefs,
Mm,
social conditioning, and
yeah.
unresolved trauma. I'll come back to these 3 points. The first underlying belief is potentially is that we are not as important. That is a self-worth question that you just mentioned. And then other people is more important than us. We look after others first.
First.
But in a psychosocial safety, even in an aeroplane, when the oxygen mask drop down, it's
Mm,
often instruction is put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put the oxygen mask on the
yeah.
children that you look after, you take care of. So again, that is the shift on understanding the underlying belief, and that we actually should come last in the way to brought up is really important to shift it. And then again, social conditioning, gender and
One.
race play a role.
Oh,
And
yeah.
often women, and we often been in the assumption or almost expectation that we are there to be nurturing, we're kind and we're caring. Therefore, our role, rather than we are leaders or not, we are still caring and nurturing others.
Yeah.
And then, so taking care of ourselves as women is something that really important,
Mm,
but it is considered they're not productive. We
yeah.
are not, we're not in generating income. We are in the way that we are just looking at why would we do something that is not going to contribute to tax? And
Yeah. It's such an interesting topic. Yeah, I just think everyone's so different, but I think that what you mentioned really hit the nail on the head around society, family, values. Um,
absolutely.
one day, a mentor asked me many years ago, this question baffled me. He said, Renee, what do you do that has no purpose? And I went, well, why would I do it? He goes, what do you do that has no purpose? And my passion out of work is cooking. I've got a little Instapot. I love cooking with no recipes. And I said, cooking. And he said, no, there's an outcome. You're feeding people. And I was really stuck. I was like, and he goes, what about reading a trashy magazine or watching Netflix or finishing work early and not doing anything? And it wasn't hard, it was unfamiliar.
Mm.
And now I actually challenge a lot of my clients around the same thing. And I'm by no means an expert. I think self-care is an ongoing
It's an ongoing thing. Absolutely.
journey.
Actually, yeah, I also wanted to add to what we just discussed. It's important to recognize men's experience of self-care as well. So
Oh,
female, both men and women, we actually still in a social categorization where we doing certain things. So men is often being expected to provide, to
that's
protect.
right. Yeah.
And then to admit that they also need to look after themselves is really hard because they're expected to be tough and strong and competent all the time, especially in that male leadership role. And women, again, we also have a different double whammy to be strong and tough and competent all the time, and also still have to care and nurture
Yeah.
others. And then we just like come to the category that we look after ourselves the last.
Yeah, exactly. So your book, I think, is a much needed resource. There's certain books I come across. Those that know me know I read 50 books a year, probably 40 at the moment, to be honest, because I read at night. But there's certain books that I say have to be on your bookshelf. And this is
Mm.
definitely one, The Power of Care. And I just want to read out a little bit about it. In a world where the demands of leadership often overshadow the importance of personal well-being, the power of care emerges as a gentle yet profound guide for leaders navigating their inner landscapes. And you've co-authored this with Hans van Rensburg, so an amazing collaboration there. And it says it's a transformative blueprint for leaders who want to lead with hearts and minds and touch the world, I love this, with kindness, compassion, and love without burning out. Tell me a little bit about the book, the structure. I've obviously read most of it. Yeah, for our listeners.
Thank you, Renee. A very humbling experience. So this is called The Power of Care. And then the structures is actually we translate social psychology and social ecological framework and theory into a simple model of a bento box.
I love
So
it.
so bento box, for audience that who do not know what bento box is actually a Japanese lunch box that actually quite common in Asia. And then basically it's a lunch box with different compartments. And what we do is we're really unpacking this complex idea of care into something simple and accessible, practical, consumable, digestible framework, the
I love
bento
it.
box. And then it has a four component. The first one is self-care that we talk about. And self-care actually really addressing to the leaders, today's leaders who are working in a high pressure, really complex role, much more than before, during the global, local,
Oh,
political, economic. And self-care is often been non-existent in leadership. So we really wanted to put the first compartment of the bento box that we can share with leaders is how do we recognize our body's need for self-care and how do we connect with our body, recognize pain, and then how do we understand trauma and to really look after ourselves. The second compartment in the book is the relational care and how do we know and understand the complexity of give and take in
yeah.
care. It is two ways, but it's different from, self-care. We're actually giving yourself lots of care. And then, but also relationship. It has to be reciprocity and it has to have a neutrality of benefit. And a lot of time we feel exhausted, depleted is we constantly giving and we feel that we're constantly giving and not receiving. So relational care is very important. That could be at a family, it could be workplace.
I just on that relational care, I think I'm a bit older than you, but I've noticed, and I know people around me have noticed friendships that sort of change. And I think
Absolutely.
that's part of that letting go. It sounds terrible, but letting go of those that no longer,
Mm,
I call it the unspoken breakup. You don't have a
mm,
fight, you still love the person, but there's not a lot of commonality.
mm,
And that's hard to do, isn't it?
It
Almost
is
like
hard
a
to do.
review. Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, we in the book we write a little bit about healthy boundary. Like the bento box, we're looking at the ingredient that we want to put in the lunch box. What do you want to put in, and what do you want to take out? Because you can't put everything in the lunch box. And then having that conscious choice of that mental boundary, emotional boundary. What do you want to put in your lunch box? And that is healthy and that's balanced. That give you the nutrition that you need at this time. And so kind of being that at level of conscious, you feel less guilty and less, negative about
Rest.
when you
Yes,
don't put certain things in this time because you need different ingredient for your needs.
you do.
Mm.
And I love what you said about I'm big on boundaries.
Mm,
I always say boundaries are like a speed hump in the road. If
mm,
you don't have them, you go out of control. You need
mm.
to know what's okay and what's not okay. I love
Absolutely.
that. And what are the other compartments of the bento box?
Yeah, they are now going to the more complex one. The third dimension I did of care is the culture of care. We really wanted to build that in a bento box for leaders. Is leaders is so influential. Is that figurehead of a company, of an organization where, but again, leaders is not just in the workplace, leader can be at home, but being a leader means you bring others together with you.
Mm,
So in that way, how do we show up as a leaders that is caring, that's with
yeah,
compassion and empathy, and then create that culture that is like your second nature, and everybody felt that sense of care. So a culture of care is what we wrote in our book is the third component of the Bento box, where how can we create system, structure, and processes that everyone actually benefit,
yeah,
and knowing automatically know that when you step in this space, you respect and you show care. And it is that sort of a proactive, conscious choices that we can make to enable care to
yeah.
thrive. Because care can be just being taken for granted in a tokenistic way. And people
And
just feel apathy. I don't really care. I live enough. I don't really connect with this person or this workplace and this group. And then people just withdraw. And that is very easy and very. So, what is the key ingredient that we can actually think about? If this, I can make it in an accessible in a bento box that people can just pick it up.
yep,
We don't have to think about it. And then this is the recipe.
beautiful.
Okay, that's the third one. And the fourth dimension, if I allow to really go
Yes.
in, is something really personal and deep for between Hannes and I, is the importance of soul care, soul, S-O-U-L,
Yeah.
soul care.
I just got
Um,
goosebumps when you said that. Just resonates so much with
oh,
me. Yeah, amazing.
to me, I think, and to us also, we think that especially when we as human started to face this bigger question
Yeah.
of death and mortality,
Mm,
and everything is uncertain in human life.
that's
But when we know that one thing is guaranteed and certain is death, and then to me, how do we really connect with our soul, and then to really reconnect with deeper purpose and the meaning, to live this world in the full version, the best version of ourselves.
yeah.
And then is that really help us to really connect back to the self-care, relational care, cultural care principle.
Yeah.
Overall, once we really loved ourselves, our soul, we will love others, even though they may look different and they might have different values, but we started to really see things quite differently when we actually understand and taking care of our own soul.
I love that. I think it's integrated, isn't it? If you love yourself,
Absolutely.
you're probably going to have better relationships.
Absolutely.
And then you're going to probably be happier as a
Absolutely.
leader at work to build a better culture. For
Mm.
those listening, I'm very into soul purpose and soul journey and everything. How do you describe soul to someone, SOUL, to someone that may not know a lot about it or be in tune with it? I
Mm.
know it's a big question.
It is a very big question, and it's a very personal answers too. So I really want to encourage everybody to define soul in your own way. And soul to me, it's actually not, it's more spiritual and not
Yeah,
religious. It is more of that energy that sit within us, deep inside. Um, it's just that spirit
yeah,
within that is beautiful, is love, and it is something that is a home.
yeah,
I
home.
would describe that as a home that we feel safe, and once we connect with them. And soul is quiet, it's constantly whisper in us about love and kindness and empathy. But because it's whispering quietly, we often don't listen and dismiss
Yeah,
the voice. And our ego will often pop out and they're loud. They bark at us as how we need to defend and protect ourselves. We're feeling afraid.
yeah,
And then the soul is the sitting within and the speaking quietly. Love, love matter.
yeah,
And love yourself, love the others. And it is that to me, I think is about slowing down and taking time off from busyness of life is connecting with the soul, taking care of the soul. It's actually quite empowering and enabling. And often we just don't have time for our soul.
It's
Mm.
almost, it's like, because I say we're human doings, not human beings, and we need to step back, give ourselves permission to pause just to be. I think
Mm.
that's important. They're just that makes so much sense. And I think I love your definition of soul. It is so many things, and I see it too as the sort of meeting of emotional, mental, physical, social, spiritual. It's all
Mm.
together. It's an
Integrated.
inner knowing, inner knowing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I love that. So we could talk for days. I wanted to ask you, leaders of all levels, and remember, if you're listening to this and you're at uni, doesn't matter, you're still a leader of your life. Um, can you give us a few tips on how we can recognize burnout before it's too late, hopefully?
Mm. Interesting. There are a lot of signs that we often dismiss, and there are actually the most critical one is a continuous for a long time of experience of tiredness, exhaustion, and to a point of physical pain, and then we feel sick, even though we spend the weekend of rest, and then coming back to work, it's still continue.
Yeah,
Feeling the tired and could not get rid of that sense of tiredness. And that is some sign that we need to really check whether this is burnout. Of course, we should not dismiss that there might be other illness and symptoms that may share similar sign and symptoms. But to me, burnout is a level of exhaustion
yeah,
that could not refuel or the sense of depleteness, and that it's that sense of empty tank,
yeah.
and then lose the meaning and purpose of on things that used to be bringing joy and meaning, especially the passion work.
Yeah. And I guess it's knowing what great looks like, isn't it? So
Mm,
it's knowing when I say to people, how are you feeling? They go, what? I go, when did you last feel energized, on purpose,
mm,
happy in all areas of your life? If not now, when? And then
mm,
people go, oh, it was last May. And I go, well, what happened? And
mm.
I think a big key, and I know you write about it in your book, is around it's that self-awareness. It starts with you. Know your body, know your mental health, know your triggers. It's the emotional intelligence, right? And if we
Absolutely.
know that, then we know when it's off, or else it's
Mm.
hard to sometimes tell. So I was going to ask you, being a limitless leader means we have to have balance in our lives, and being what we've talked about, what helps you be so calm and balanced in your life?
Oh, thank you, Renee. A lot of work put in to really understand, to recognize again what it's felt like
Yeah,
when we experience off balance. When we're off balance, what does it make us feel like? So to really have that awareness, I might just go back to the way we define care is CARE. We actually translate it into four different acronyms of
yeah,
meaning. Yeah, C is consciousness, and you're really conscious about how we feel, our body and our emotion, and then including being honest about it. It's not just being masking and that sort of emotion for the public, being authentic, conscious about how we feel. And then the secondly is take action, A for action. Um, Knowing that we are off balance, we need to do something about it rather than just do nothing. We need to take action.
yeah,
But the action is conscious, is responsible. You
yes,
take responsible of your own wellness, and then you take conscious action. Then R is reciprocity.
yeah,
And we do need to think about the connection with ourselves, with our soul, with the others, with the environment. It's just two ways. And then if you cannot feel calm and balanced if you disregard the others' connection with others.
yeah. Yeah.
And then E is equilibrium. Equilibrium to us, we define it differently with balance because we can't just balance self-care and not having a balance of relational care or the soul care. Equilibrium is sitting across a different dimension of care, across our self, relationship, the
Oh,
environment, and our soul. Finding that balance is that across the multiple level in an integrative way, then we started to feel more joy, and we do experiencing it. I just say, it become a tool that it kind of sit within us. Whenever we're just checking in, we'll make a phone call, say, how do we feel?
yeah.
And we almost have the language to really articulate
Yeah.
how we feel. It's a CARE model.
I love it. I love a good
Easier to, yeah, easier to really talk about it. And then we started to feel, ah, I feel okay. And then, oh, today I just feel like I'm not very well. I'm not achieving equilibrium today because I actually spend no time on myself. And
yeah.
then I say I'm a bit off balance. Then
Yeah.
we actually have the language a tool to talk about it.
Yeah, I love that. And I always say if you're having an off day, let people know. Just don't make it every day, right? Because you've got to be human. And I think
Mm,
bringing this human touch back so important. And as leaders,
mm,
we can't do that if we're not looking after ourselves.
mm,
Such an
mm.
amazing book. So where can people buy the book and find you?
Thank you so much, Renee. People can find the book from our website. I can hold the book out again. It's The Power of Care. Our website is called bentoboxofcare.com. And you can buy directly from our website. And I have links to Amazon.com. And now most of the major online book publishers, they can find this book.
Oh, amazing. And we'll put all those links and the book and how to find you in the show notes. I've absolutely loved our conversation, but I do have
I'm,
quick trivia before you go. What is
mm,
your favorite word?
oh, interesting. Care.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that makes sense. What sound do you love?
Oh, interesting. I do love the calming water sound.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's so
Mm.
therapeutic, isn't it?
Absolutely. Just can put me to sleep.
Yeah. If you had one last meal, what would it be?
Mm. Oh, so many. It's hard to choose. I probably would say the Malaysian. I'm Malaysian. I'll go for char kway teow. That's a plate of noodle that I loved. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, from my hometown. That's really, really nice.
Food
Delicious.
is such a time machine to your memories, isn't it? Like having
Absolutely.
something that,
Linking back to,
yeah. And what profession, other than your own, and you've done so much, would you attempt if you could?
oh, I have several. One of them I actually love to be a surgeon.
Oh, imagine you, well, you'd have lots of hair. See what I did there? Oh, wow. A surgeon. Why? Why a surgeon?
I don't know, maybe I just like have this fascination when I watch the, TV and how amazing that I can actually do something complex and precisions and to save life.
Yeah, important job. You're doing such important work. So I want to say thank you for
Oh,
gifting this book to the world. Um,
you
Make sure
too.
you grab a copy, whether you're leading a team or not, this is relevant for you. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Renee, and you too. Your work is amazing, and yourself
Oh,
too.
thank you.
Absolutely. Such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. And for everyone, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share it. Contact us if you've got any guests or topics that you'd like us to explore. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Limitless Leaders podcast. Thank you for listening to the Limitless Leaders podcast. So you don't miss an episode, make sure you follow the show in your favorite podcast app. Feel free to share this podcast with your family, friends, and work colleagues. If you're enjoying the show, Find out more on what we do at RG Dynamics at www.reneegiarrusso.com. Until next time, be limitless.